All right, today we're jumping into a really fascinating case study. It's all about how a simple, kind of devious online experiment snowballed into a profitable and surprisingly educational business model. It's the story of what you might call synthetic influence. So let's just start with the big question. How can a completely fake online identity, a persona made from scratch, actually become a real profitable business? It sounds like something out of a movie, right? But as you're about to see, it's a lot more achievable than you might think. Okay, so our story kicks off with this clever young guy named Arjun. Now, Arjun was totally fascinated by two things, online marketing and human psychology. And when you mix those two together, well, that combination sparked a very curious idea. So, what was the observation that started this whole thing? It's actually something pretty interesting. Arjun noticed this pattern on social media. He saw that people, often guys, would send gifts to girls they'd only ever met online. I mean, without ever even meeting them in person. And seeing that just got the wheels turning. It led him to this simple, but honestly pretty powerful thought. He basically asked himself, what if I create a girl's profile? Just to see how people behave online. And this wasn't just him being bored. Nope. This was the birth of his experiment. So he has the idea, but how do you actually do it? How does a simple thought experiment turn into a full-blown operation? Well, it all started with crafting the perfect online persona. He built a character who we'll call Maya Sharma, completely from scratch. The building blocks for Maya were super simple, but really effective. First up, the profile picture. He used an AI-generated image. Think about that for a second. It creates a face that's totally unique, but also completely untraceable. And the name? Maya Sharma. It's relatable, it's common, it's just perfectly unassuming. And here's where the psychology really comes into play. Just look at this bio. Just a simple girl who loves makeup, fashion, and cute things. I mean, it is so intentionally generic. It was designed from the ground up to be approachable, totally non-threatening, and to appeal to a really broad audience. Okay, so you have the profile, but how do you make Maya feel, well, real? Over a few weeks, he followed a very specific method to build authenticity. First, he was friendly, but never too open. You gotta create a little mystery, right? Second, he'd reply slowly to make it seem natural, like she had a real life. And third, he'd share these little, daily stories to build a consistent, believable character. And this, right here, is where the experiment starts to shift into an actual business. He developed what I'm calling the gift-to-profit pipeline. It was basically this masterful system for turning these carefully crafted emotional connections into cold hard cash. Well, products than cash. The real genius here was in the subtlety. He never directly asked for a single thing. Instead, he would just plant ideas. He'd say something like, oh, I saw this branded lipstick, but I just can't afford it right now. See what he's doing? It's not a demand, it's a statement of desire, and that often prompted someone to make an offer. So, did it actually work? Oh, you bet it did. Absolutely. The gifts started rolling in. And we're not talking about small trinkets here. We're talking a hair iron, branded lipsticks, entire nail polish sets, makeup kits. These are valuable consumer goods all sent for free. This is where you see the financial genius of the whole thing. Just look at the resale numbers. He gets a hair iron for free, right? It sells in stores for $40. He can easily sell it online, brand new, for $30. That's almost pure profit. He basically created a system with zero cost for inventory and high demand because he was selling everything just a little below market price. Of course, to make this whole thing work, he needed a solid system for logistics, and he was smart about it. He used delivery pickup points to stay totally anonymous, so no packages were ever coming to his actual home. Then he'd just turn around, list the brand new stuff on places like Facebook Marketplace, and boom, he had a smooth, efficient little reselling operation going. But then, right in the middle of all the profits and the planning, the story takes a pretty big turn. Arjun has this sudden and really important realization. He starts to look past the packages and the money, and he begins to see the bigger picture. He started asking himself a really critical question. Yeah, the operation was profitable, for sure, but what valuable skills was he actually learning from this whole, let's be honest, unethical scheme? And the answer? Well, it was kind of surprising. He realized he was basically giving himself this unconventional but incredibly powerful education. By managing Maya, he wasn't just tricking people. No, he was actually mastering human psychology. He was learning social media influence, online marketing, and the A to Z of running a product reselling business, all on the fly. And this put him at a huge ethical crossroads. On the one hand, you have the method, which was, let's face it, totally unethical and super risky. But on the other hand, the skills he was picking up, they were powerful, they were marketable. They could be the foundation for a totally legitimate career. So what do you do in that situation? Well, he made a pivot, a big one. This next part is all about how he decided to apply these skills honestly, how he moved away from a business built on deception to something real and transparent. His decision was pretty clear, and he acted on it immediately. Arjun stopped the fake profiles. He shut the whole operation down. And it wasn't just because it was risky. It was because he saw a much better path forward. He decided to take everything he had learned and pour it into starting a real online business. And that really brings us to the core lesson of this whole story, doesn't it? Sometimes these clever, maybe even sketchy ideas can teach us incredibly valuable skills. But the best, most lasting success, that comes from using those skills in an honest and sustainable way. Arjun learned a big lesson. How you succeed matters just as much as what you achieve. When you think about it, Arjun's story really blurs that line between clever marketing and, well, outright deception. It kind of forces us to ask a tough question, especially in this super digital world we live in. Where exactly is the line between influence and manipulation? It's definitely something to think about.